Hello, Orville Nation and Nerd TV. Hello, Matt Ryan, Jeff Stargate, Dean Infinity, Lord Thoth, Alan Tux, Eric Morse, everybody who is in here, Time Prophet, Trash Panda, everybody who's in here, Peggy Oaks. Welcome, 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 everybody. Sarah, Jet, Luis Sparrow, everybody who is in here, Sean, Colin. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. We have an amazing Jakey sound. Welcome. We have an amazing show tonight, as we do always with Joe MALLOZZI. And Joe's brought a friend who you all know, and we're gonna introduce Mike real soon. But I wanna bring in the lady of all the fandoms, your Starfleet meteorologist and crazy weather woman. And let me turn off the music. Welcome, Katie Nicolau.
Hello. Katie. How's it going?
How are you? Good to see you.
Oh, it's so good to see you too. I'm finally back on my regular schedule without interviews and all that stuff. It's so nice to just have time to talk with all y'all.
Now, did you have? I thought you had a couple of posts this week who also went semi-viral. Am I wrong?
I kind of did. Now that I had my one mega viral post that got 13 million views, and now all of my videos get at least 50,000. It feels like, and so it's very strange. There's a lot of people that I don't know who are proposing marriage to me now. A little interesting, but it keeps the week fun. I'll tell you that.
I can imagine. It's keeping you busy. Well, you take it all in good spirit, so that's important. And I want to remind everybody. I want to remind Gap Stargate, who does some promos for us. Matt Ryan, who builds dark matter weapons for the fandom, just to share. And everybody else who has a wrench, please go ahead and share your channels. And I urge everybody in the chat and in the replay to go ahead and sub to these channels. We all grow together, guys. Let me welcome. Ladies first. Nina Infinity. Hello, Nina. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you? I'm good. So excited to be here. I love meeting stars. I'm so excited. I have a little YouTube channel, everybody, Nina Infinity, trying to get to that 1,000 subscribers. I'm 20 away. So yes, please, everybody sub to my channel. And I'm going to be working on my next review, which is the HBO show, the sci-fi show, Raised by Wolves. So that's next for me. And then, you can find me everywhere.
You're only 20 away from 1,000?
Yeah. I was at 20 away, and then YouTube took some subs. So now it's 22 away. But yeah, we're there. It's very close. So,
all right. We have 35 people watching right now. So we can do it right now.
We can do it.
If you're not sub to Nina, and I bet half of you are not sub to her, please go ahead and sub 1 second. Just sub real quick.
Thank you so much, PJ. Yeah, and so I'm on John Talks' channel on Wednesdays. We talk politics and stuff like that, but everything else on my channel is usually sci-fi, entertainment, all that good stuff. So Yeah, that's it. That's me. Thank you.
Nice.
Awesome. And remember, guys, take a second and sub. Let's welcome Dr. Adega Outlaw. Hello, Dr. Adega.
Hey,
Hey.
how can you refuse the cuteness? She needs the extra. Just do it. Make her day.
And I drink from Darth Vader's head. So
Yes.
that's how cool I am.
That's a quality mug right there.
Just don't ask what's in it.
Yeah.
It's coffee and it's dark roast. So
And let us know in a few minutes if you hit
dark
1,000. If you hit 1,000,
I
let us know.
will. I will.
The only problem that we might have is that a good portion of the chat might already be subbed to you, I'm thinking. But
I know.
anyway.
Quality chat.
It's okay. That's okay. I love you guys, all of you.
Oh, we have such a supportive chat, and I love them every single week.
Mhm.
Like, genuinely, it is so much fun.
Yes.
Let's bring on Joe. He is backstage and with Mike. And welcome everybody, Joseph MALLOZZI. Hello, Joe.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
There's the boss.
I don't know about the boss. Thank you.
How are you this week, Joe?
I am good. I'm working on I'm juggling my various projects. I hear that there's going to be they're going to put out a press release about I'm doing an adaptation of a fantasy series that has been very hush hush, and we're going to finally find out what it is on Thursday. And then other stuff lined up. But see, this is my priority, of course. Very much looking forward to this because we're bringing on an old friend of mine, a guy actually that I knew from way back when I was in Montreal, where I grew up. You've seen him on shows like Power, Arrow, Continuum, every one of the Stargates, and Dark Matter. And I mean, he's the guy. He's always working. The lovely and talented Mike DOPUD.
Yes.
How are you?
Such an honor to have you here, Mike. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, Joe, for bringing Mike.
Thank you. Yeah, this is great.
Mike is, for those of you who don't know, Mike is a former professional athlete.
Mm-hmm.
He is a martial artist, a stuntman, and someone who has been on all Stargate series, which is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you have a badge that says that, like an exclusive club.
Well, I'm reminded, right? It's pretty funny, but a lot of the fans are great. They always say, you're one of the only guys that did all 3 Stargates. And so, yeah, it's an honor, of course.
Joe, do you want to mention how is it that Mike was involved in all 3 Stargates?
Yeah, what was your first? I think your first episode, Mike, you played a Russian soldier, right?
Colonel
SG-1,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was the early SG-1, and then as so often happens on Stargate, we tend to bring back certain actors just because we did over 350 episodes, and you came back in what was it, The Bad Guys, where you think you played. Were you a bounty hunter?
Yeah. Obadiah Ventrell.
Yes.
What a
you played
name.
a bounty hunter.
I know.
And then so that was 2 in SG-1, and then in Atlantis, you were you played opposite Jewel State in that the episode Runner.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Stargate Universe, we cast you as Varro, who is a member of the Lucian Alliance, was a sympathetic member of the Lucian Alliance, and we were, you were caught up in that love triangle between Elena Huffman's character, Lieutenant Johansson,
PJ, and
Louis Ferreira's character, Colonel Young, and then Dark Matter. I mean, basically, look, I've mentioned in on previous episodes that when I work with someone I like, I would love to work with them again, and sort of, Mike is a testament to that, to the fact that he's worked on all the Stargates, the fact that he landed on Dark Matter, and actually, I probably would have cast him on my last show, Utopia Falls, if not for the fact that we were we had to cast only within the province of Ontario, so I couldn't go out to Vancouver. So that's the only reason Mike was not on Utopia Falls.
Well, hey, I'm the lucky one, right? Again, it was such a weird way things came about with Stargate. And I had gotten to know a lot of the guys. And I think I started originally as a stunt guy on Stargate, SG-1, if you remember, Joe.
Wow. Yeah.
And then, I remember, and then when I did Colonel Chernovshev, they didn't know that I was Serbian. So then it was also, oh, you can do that accent. You can actually speak some Russian. I said, yes. And so that worked out. It was pretty funny. And then obviously the roles got bigger and better and greater. So I'm very grateful for that.
And you speak several languages, right, Mike?
I do. None of them well, but I do speak.
Mike, I've seen you in so many things, including the 100, season 5. That was amazing. I loved your performance. You were crazy in that season. I really, really adored your crazy cannibal character. I couldn't tell, even right up to the end, like if this guy is, fully nuts or what, and then it turned out you were absolutely crazy. So yeah, I've seen you in so many things. I just want to say that I really enjoy your work. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Sweetie, thank you.
Mike, how do you, and maybe Joe can help with this question. How do you always become such a likable bad guy in your story?
Oh wow!
Or does Joe just write you that way?
Well, there's a few things, and yes, Joe. It's obviously the writing is critical to make a bad guy likable. But having said that, I just always, and I think it was from Silence of the Lambs when I first watched that. Anthony Hopkins made this cannibal actually likable, and you almost rooted for him. And I've always tried to. Look, not every bad guy, you can't do that with every bad guy because some bad characters are just bad and they need to be bad as a through line for the story. But for me, I always try to find the human element of these bad guys to try, if you can, it's not always easy, and you try to find ways that he can do certain little things that make him a bit more likable instead of just the killer that you hate.
Do you want to say anything about how you wrote Mike's characters?
No. I just think in general, two ways that you kind of redeem to a certain extent the bad guys is usually you pit them against the worst bad guy, so that comparatively you see they come out a little better. And then I find that the way characters treat other characters really goes such a long way towards kind of rehabilitating them. And so Vero was kind of an interesting character on Stargate Universe in that he was, he was originally a member of the Lucian Alliance, but then in his relationship with Lieutenant Johansson, you could see that humanity kind of came out. You kind of sympathized with him, and he became likable. And it's the same with all the characters. And just Mike is a likable guy, off screen and on, especially more importantly on. So, I think viewers really responded to his performance.
And we have a question here from Time Prophet. Mike, is acting safer than being a stuntman? And did you still do your own stunts?
Yeah, definitely. Acting is much safer. I have to say, it's funny because a lot of my characters tend have action incorporated. There's always some element of action involved. But having said that, I usually, if they hire a stuntman for me, but then all they do is they either know that I've done my own action, or they'll research and say, "Oh my God, why didn't you tell me? The next stuntman." And I said, "Well, I'll get the stunt guy in here. I don't want to do the crazy hits anymore. It's not worth it for me." I did that, after 20 years of, 25 years of doing it. But with my own characters, I still like to do the fight scenes. I still like to do my own action.
Do you want to tell us? Since we have you here, Mike? Do you want to tell the audience who may not know about how you play in professional sports? What you it's a short time.
Yeah, it's kind of another crazy roundabout way to my life. I grew up playing hockey and football. Those were my two loves. And, from day one, I remember saying, I'm going to play professional sport. I mean, at the time, hockey was my first love, but then I found football, American football, and then I started really focusing on that. And then I just pushed. I just did as much as I could. And at that time, in the mid 80s, 1980s, not a lot of Canadians got scholarships to the U.S. colleges, and that was my goal. So I was able to, I went to camps in New York. I did all kinds of stuff, and then I ended up getting a scholarship to Southern Illinois University. The Salukis.
No way!
Yeah.
No
Salukis,
way!
right?
I love that. You know that, Joe. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, you guys are our rivals. I went to Valparaiso University, Northwest Indiana. So
Actually, we play against you guys today in basketball, I think.
no way!
So,
That's wild.
I love you, Katie.
and then, so then I played at Southern Illinois University, had a decent career there, and got drafted in the Canadian Football League. Had some free agent tryouts in the NFL. I didn't pan out. And then I went to the CFL. And again, the same thing. After our first game, I blew up my knee. So then I was done. And then I came back. And then so that my season was done at that point. But then I came back the next year and again tried to catch on with teams. I went to the World League.
What were you playing, Mike? What
I was a
position?
running back.
Nice.
And
Wide
in,
receiver
and in that's right, yeah. And
on
in
the playground.
Yes. And in Canada, they have a ratio for players. If you're Canadian, I think it was 21 Canadians and 16 Americans on a team. They're trying to keep the Canadian content alive. So then usually Canadian positions are like fullback. And I was undersized as a fullback, so a little tough because I was 200 pounds playing against, most fullbacks like 230, 240. But yeah, so then I played a little while, and then my knee just didn't help, and then I started playing hockey again just for fun with my buddies that were in the NHL, and I ended up getting a tryout, and I played in Columbus, Ohio, for a little while.
Columbus.
Yeah.
I'm from Michigan. That's the one place on earth no one can go to. Oh. Ohio, for those of you who don't know, Michigan-Ohio State is like a blood rivalry.
Oh, I know that all too well because my friend John, he's from Michigan, and we actually had a debate of we had a debate online of what's the better state, Ohio, with Justin Proper and John Talks was Michigan. So it's a really funny debate. It's on his channel.
Please distinguish between the athletes and the school rivalries. Be nice.
As long as you went to Ohio State, then it's fine.
John Burns, thank you. Thank you. Question for Mike. I know for you, as long as the roles got a paycheck, you're happy, but do you prefer playing a protagonist or an antagonist?
It's a great question. It's not often I get to play the hero, for lack of a better term. The joke around my friends and my wife and that is that I never win. I never win the battle at the end, and I never get the girl.
You should have had the girl on Stargate Universe. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
Oh.
me too. My opinion too. But look, honestly, for me, the greatest thing when choosing a role is to have something that is well written and a character that I can really dive into. So if he's a protagonist, antagonist, it doesn't really matter to me. As long as it's a role that I can really sink my teeth into, so to speak, then I'm happy either way.
Yeah. So we see how that the episode starts out with the actress from the Galactic Authority interviewing Six. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you saw the movie Run, Lola, Run. Are you familiar with that movie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that is our Lola. That is Franca Potente.
That's right. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
See, her character reminded me of those creepy, like, Hansel and Gretel characters from a last season.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't like them. Same reaction to her almost instantly, like, someone better die. And it felt awful for thinking it.
Yeah, she was good.
And then
Absolutely.
The knee jerk. Oh, such a good performance.
What was the movie, Joe? You said, I'm sorry?
Run Lola Run. It's actually one of my favorite
Yes.
time loop.
I love that
movies.
movie. Yes,
I agree.
too.
Great movie.
Oh, wow. Mike, Katie's been watching Dark Matter for the first time every episode. She's been holding off on not binging it. So real quick, Katie, what were your first impressions on this episode?
I was really interested to see how it was going to go because from what it looked like in the first episode of season 2, it seemed like, it's really hard to escape. You try and imagine how they're going to escape. I kind of just accepted the fact that maybe they weren't going to, and there would just be several episodes in this prison, which I was totally fine with. I love how even though it's a prison, it never felt confined or constricted. You had so many different locations that it was interesting, visually pleasing to watch. And that was really great for me.
Well, I was also surprised, going on what Katie's saying. Like when I first watched it, I remember I was really surprised that you guys kind of got away from the prison, like in the second episode, because I was expecting this is going to be like one of those season long, like they're going to be planning an escape for like the whole season kind of thing.
One episode is just 3 banging his head against a wall.
Yeah, and then it just like second episode's like bam, we're out, and I was like, whoa, this is good. Like, where is the season gonna go? Because I was just completely shocked.
You surprised me too, Joe. I thought we were gonna get 4 episodes of The Prisoner, 5 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, we thought about it, but ultimately I just had too much story I wanted to tell in season 2. And so I thought at the end of the day, rather than sort of stretch it out, 2 episodes was perfect.
No, I'm glad you did that.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I hate when people like stretch out, like, and you're like, okay, come on, let's get into the story here. Like, what's going to happen?
Exactly. You weren't just stalling for time. You're like, all right, we did this. Now on to the next thing.
Now, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but that set was really expensive, I think, right at the time.
Yes, absolutely. It was a hugely expensive set, and Jay Firestone, the president, was like, we only used it for 2 episodes. But we talked to Ian was our guest last week, and he talked about the fact that he was able to reuse and repurpose a lot of the set, make corridors out of the cells, and so I mean, we did reuse it. Did we, maximize its use? I would say no, but I think, to be honest, the series was the second season certainly was better off for it, given the stories we tell later on down the line.
I have a small question, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself with regards to the pace of the episode review, but was it a little painful to like trash that beautiful set, during the riot?
During the riot, no, not at all. That was actually quite fun.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We have a question from Jeff Beeler. Mike, what are some of your favorite scenes from this episode? I assume from this episode, or maybe in your career. I'm not sure. However you want to answer that.
Oh, that's pretty wild. I think it was in the first episode, because I didn't get a chance to watch the second episode again. It's been a while. But I definitely liked the introduction of Eric's in that first episode with the whole team coming in and the crew of the Dark Matter. I thought that was I love that just because it was a great way for me to meet and work with everybody, the whole cast. So that was probably one of my favorites of the 4 episodes that I did.
I'll tell you my favorite scene for these 2 episodes for you, and I'm gonna put up the picture shortly. Was when you freed them from the kiln, from that room.
That was
the furnace.
cool.
From the furnace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was fun too. Gosh.
Thank you, Jeff.
Guys, I know.
Joe, by the way, great dynamics between these 2 actors and these 2 characters. The warden. The warden.
And, yeah. I mean, I think they're both great. And so Carlo Rota, we mentioned he is the warden. I'm gonna have to look up Herb here, who
I have it here actually.
The warden is so funny, like especially when like he was like, and send one armed guard into my room.
yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned in the previous panel discussion, but at this point, starting in season 2, is when we have actual episode titles, and the fans essentially voted on the episode titles. I ended up basically lifting 3 lines of dialogue from the episode that hadn't aired yet, and then I just put it to a vote, and the fans voted, and Kill Them All, which is the title of this episode, which is the line that Jodel's character utters
That was
later.
such a great line.
Freaking loved it.
Yeah, it was so good. By the way, Jeff was asking what was your favorite scene of all time?
Oh, all time.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a long career to go back on.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, that's I can't think of it right now. It's never really just one scene, though. To be quite honest, it's usually the evolution of the character, which makes you. I mean, there's sometimes you do guest star and you have a couple of fun scenes, but really, it's the evolution of a character for me that makes it exciting. So definitely for me, Varro on SGU was one of my favorite ones, just because of this guy comes in as a quote unquote a killer Lucian Alliance member and ends up becoming essentially part of the Destiny crew. So that journey was a really big one for the character. So I really enjoyed that one.
On that same vein, this might be a little easier to figure out. Which would be your favorite stunt that you worked on? I know it goes back a little further, but
yeah. Well, I've done a few big stunts in my day. One of the big ones was on the movie Walking Tall. We did an 80. I was doubling an actor, Neil McDonough, who's since become a good friend of mine, and we did this high fall. It was about 80 feet, and parts of it. So you did the first one for the 80 feet into airbags, and then the second one was we were on cables, but I had to bounce off these beams, and it was pretty hairy in the sense that if the timing was off, I could get pretty hurt. So yeah, a lot of rehearsal time went into that. So I went through these big beams and bounced off these certain steel beams, and then landed on this steel grate that was at about a 45-degree angle, and then we fell out of the chute about another 16 feet. So it was a rough one, but that was one of the craziest ones that I did.
One of my favorite scenes from you in this episode was when you were trying to talk Four into going into the infirmary, and then he was like, "No, I'm not dishonoring myself," and you're just like, you just take him out, and then you just turn to 3, and you're like, when we're all chilling on a beach after this, he's gonna be okay with this, right?
That's right. Right, that was a funny scene too.
That was great.
The humor in this episode was like, oh, I loved it. Even the subtle things, like when 3 realizes that the guy went to the psych ward, he's just like, I'm fine, really. Oh,
this is a totally selfish question. Now, I've always assumed you're somewhere around 6'2", 6 foot, somewhere around there, and just your presence on camera just makes you a giant whether or not you are. I know they could play tricks, but even if you are, one of your henchmen is much taller than you in this. How big was that guy?
I'm 6 feet tall, and I had boots also. I was probably about 6'1", 6'2" with the boots. I would say 6'4", 6'5", maybe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Intimidating group of people.
Yes.
Lord Thoth, were you going to say something, Joe? I'm sorry.
No, just the name of the actor who played Durand, the guard, was Tom Barnett, who is fantastic.
Yeah, he was great. Lord Thoth asked, what is your favorite memory from Stargate, Mike?
Again, there's so many great memories with Stargate. I think one of the big ones we didn't Keurig from Stargate Atlantis. That was a fun role to play, and I really enjoyed playing him. And that was almost felt like a one-off episode, and so I really enjoyed that. And working with Joel State was great. And then Jason Momoa, obviously, and the rest of the guys, and we hit it off pretty good too. So yeah, that was a really cool moment because it felt sort of like my episode, so to speak, and get obviously working with Joe and Paul and Carl Binder and everybody there. So that was and Will Waring, who's actually a neighbor of mine. He lives like 3 miles away from me. Yeah. And obviously, we haven't seen each other during this time, but yeah. So that was a really fun episode and one of my favorite memories. And Varro, obviously, that whole season and a bit of playing Varro was great.
Wow. And again, here we see some a different perspective of the outside than we did last time, but beautiful shots from the outside, Joe.
Yeah,
So
the effects team was amazing, and I think he said it was Bartol Rendelik. I think who did the design here. I'll have to double check.
I just love the idea of having a prison on an oxygen devoid moon.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to happen sometime in humanity's future, I have a feeling.
Yeah, no chance for escape, even if you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But on the bright side, you get a free ride into space, so that's pretty epic. Probably not
This
worth
episode kind of got me because there was only one person who seemed to be actually a good person, which was 5. Everyone else was just bad people. Guards, everyone was bad. And then you come up with the title for, huh?
What do you mean? No.
Well, you're in prison for this. But then 5 says, kill them all. Don't incapacitate them. Just kill them. And I was just, well, there goes that one.
Yeah, there goes the innocence.
Yeah.
I love how Android was like, you're not a member of this crew to 6. Like, I'm not listening to you. That was so great.
Android in this entire episode was the queen of sass. She was. You can try, but I'll kill everything. I just love the android so much in this episode.
Another quick question for Mike. Well, 2 questions, real quick. How do you prepare for your roles, Mike? And have you ever done any comedy?
Well, I'll answer the first one. How do I prepare for roles? It's always different, but I do try to do research, and then I just, I sometimes draw on people that I know that might be interesting, as far as get pieces of people that I know. Oh, this guy would be great. Oh, he would say something like this at this point, and I just try, and then all of a sudden I just put it all in like a bucket and mix it all up, and then come up with something. But I do tend to do research on characters, or especially a crime lord. It doesn't matter if you're in space or wherever you're at. They have a certain way of thinking. It seems like most of the successful crime lords have a way of thinking. So I watch either old movies or I do research on whatever, Google, on the internet, whatever I can. But yeah, definitely do research, and some roles are easier than others to prepare for. Like on the 100 for Michael Vincent, I've never been a cannibal, so
There we go.
trying to find that moment and how do you make this character believable and not a caricature. Those are always tricky things to do. But
you did so good. You did so good. Have you guys seen that? Any of you on the panel, the 100?
No.
I have not seen that episode.
I keep thinking, like, when you talk about drawing from people in real life, did you just go, I wonder which one would be most likely to be a cannibal? Let's go with Timmy.
Well, that one, no, I didn't. I obviously, but that was just, that one was just some research on to be a cannibal, you've got to be a certain certain type of person, obviously, but if you do research on serial killers and such, which I've done in the past before, you can sort of see where their mindset is coming from, and you try to play. And that was one of those characters that, for me, was actually I created from the ground up. We weren't sure where we were going to go with them, and I had some ideas, and the producers said, you know what, don't mess with them now. Just let it go. We're letting you go with it. So,
well, as a fan of different genres and sci-fi and stuff, and I could speak for a lot of people here, we very much appreciate it when people like you do your research, because there are actors and actresses that go out and don't do it, and the roles fail miserably sometimes. We could talk about one genre that is completely destroyed because someone wouldn't do her homework on it. I don't want to get into any names, but it shows. And thank you for doing your work for us. It is very much appreciated.
Do you hold a grudge, Adega?
Because it seems like Adega, I totally know who you're talking about. So I'm trying to stay quiet too.
Well, that's just one of many, and we all know several. But you can always tell when a role has been researched and acted out the way it should be done. And Mike does it every time. He takes the bad guy, and you like the bad guy. You're not supposed to like the bad guy, but you do, because he does such a good job of it.
Thank you. The comedy thing. Have I done comedy? I've done a few episodes here and there on different shows, but it's not something, it's actually hard to get in to read for, if that makes sense. A lot of people see me as, and I'm very fortunate, I get to audition for a lot of great roles in great movies and such, but you don't always get an opportunity to do some comedy. That's definitely something I would love to try and do more.
That being said, there's always a little bit of a lighthearted part to many of the characters that you've done with Joe, right?
Yeah, I think so. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I always like to include a little humor in the characters. Like I said, I always feel like it's a great way for audience to connect with them, and I think all the characters, you're known for playing serious roles, but you can also bring the comedy.
Yeah, like that scene with Thor, that was so funny. Like I loved it. It was very humorous.
And Dee Dee Myers asks about does it take you long to get into character, Mike?
No. Once I've done my research, quote unquote, and prepared for the role, then no, I don't need to be, I'm not a method actor. I don't like being in that state of, if you're angry or if you're upset or however the scene is. I don't like to be in that state, because I find, listen, if you're a method actor, and all the power to you, the great ones, but I just find you waste everything in between the scenes. And then once the scenes start, you're not there. I can get into character, I think, as soon as I hear rolling, and especially right on action, I can switch right into it.
And there's no need to be mean to everybody all day long, right?
Not for me. Some people, everybody's got their process, and I respect it. I find for me, I end up just doing my best with it if I'm too into it. Especially when you're younger, starting out your career, you really want to get the part right, and you're really focusing on the anger or the emotions of the scene, and you end up losing it all. I just find with my experience that, it's there. You've done the work, trust it, and then once you start the scene, it'll be there.
Well, I was actually going to compliment you on the fact that you're not a method actor when it comes to playing a cannibal. So that's great.
Oh gosh.
This question is for Mike, but I want to maybe pose it to Joe first. Joe, did you ever tell Mike what his character was in prison for?
I did not. But I imagine Nero's, job prior to landing at Hyperion 8 was pretty much what he was doing while he was in Hyperion 8. He's not necessarily a mob boss, but certainly an underworld figure of some repute to have ended up there. And essentially just doing what he does best when he gets on the inside.
When he gets on the inside, yeah. Absolutely. I took him as, yes, a form of crime boss that was that didn't just deal in one aspect. He was involved in all aspects, from drugs to money to everything. So to stealing clothes, whatever, right? Computer, whatever the technology was at the time. I just figured he was involved in every aspect of crime.
And a question for Joe from Susanna. When did you start writing, Joe? And what was your first?
Over 20 years ago, certainly, or more. I started writing. My first job was in animation. I wrote a episode of The Busy World of Richard Scarry, Patrick Pig Learns to Talk, and then eventually I moved on to story editing and developing shows. I just heard that one of the first shows, animated shows I created, was canceled after something like 20 years, which is crazy because I didn't know it had been on that long. But a show called Caillou is the bane of every parent, apparently.
What?
You wrote
that was one of the first shows I developed for. I mean, it was based on a book series. So
wait. Did you write for it in the first like season 1 and 2 kind of thing?
I did. I wrote an episode.
Because I always say that Caillou was good for the first couple of seasons, and then he went nuts, and then it's like the writer changed or something, and then that's when everyone was like, "Okay, this is
the way, right? They go off the rails. They start smoking weed, and it's like, what's going on with this? He's not the Caillou we know." Yeah. But I was just amazed to learn that the show had been on. I thought the show was on for 2 seasons. Honestly, the fact that this was on for something like 18 years is crazy.
Caillou goes to college in the final episode. Still hasn't learned his lesson. I'd pay to see that.
Oh man, yeah, it wasn't my favorite, Joe.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, they cannot all be winners. Maybe you were more of a Richard Scarry fan, or Animal Crackers, or Paddington Bear. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking with my kids when they were watching cartoons and Caillou would come on.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I'd be like, oh, parents hated the character.
They started hating it after the first couple of seasons, because I'm telling you, something changed. Like something snapped in that kid, and he went psycho. And then everyone was like, "Okay, no.
Have you gone? This is a total side tangent, but have you gone into the conspiracy theories behind Caillou?
The fact that he was actually a 40-year-old man with a shaved
There's
head.
many more. In college one night, we went down a rabbit hole. Look them up. If you have a night where you just want to feel like you aren't even on this planet anymore, Caillou conspiracy theory.
I'm gonna have to do that. Have to do that, Katie.
It's terrible. No gap, Stargate. Oh my gosh, you just blew my mind.
And Joe, we have here. Ian was talking about last week about how they had spent a lot of time on this on the furnace.
Oh yeah. So I mean, it was actually a surprisingly small set to get into it. It was a sealed set. You had kind of the mesh up on top, but you also had the lights, and the lights are really what conveyed the kind of the sense of the place heating up.
Yeah.
And then of course you think they're done for, and Mike's character comes to the rescue, and that's basically the moment where you realize Nero is kind of a loose cannon and kind of a. I always kind of like those type of characters, the ones that aren't necessarily the bad guys, but they're certainly not the good guys, and you don't really know where their allegiances lie, and so they're very you never know what to expect from them. Those are actually my favorite characters, really.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What was the garbage they were cleaning up? That couldn't have been something, that had to have been props, because it just looked nasty.
Yeah, no, it was just fake stuff. I don't know. I mean, I think the props department just had fun with it. I remember actually watching the director's cut, and this was Bruce McDonald, who is one of my favorite directors, Cowboy Bruce. And and the scene starts off, and there is an orange, and someone has put a hat and like eyes and a mustache on this orange, and so the scene starts off at the conveyor belt, then it drops off the conveyor belt, and then goes on. So I don't know if Bruce was looking to sneak that into the episode, but sadly I had to cut it for time.
Aww. If the props department really wanted to just phone it in, they could have found a dumpster near set.
Yeah, I'm sure the cast would have loved that.
Yeah. It's authentic method acting.
John Burns, thanks, Nina. John Burns, thank you. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with my StreamYards. Like the 1 minute the super chat is there, and the next second it's not. Let's see. John Burns, 3 meets the older guy in the infirmary who mentions hurting yourself. 2 and 4 are other inmates, but I'm sure they like. Oh no, we're okay.
Yeah, we're fine. Whatever.
Thank you, John Burns. Thank you, John Burns, so much for your support, and much appreciated always. And hopefully StreamYard's not going to jump on me this much anymore. And Nina is at 985. Awesome. Nina, put up your link again, please, if you can.
I will. Thank you so much.
And everybody who's just coming in and watching the replay, please sub to Nina because she's almost at 1,000. We now have here the scene with Mike right after the door opens, and this is one of my favorite scenes when you confront the big guy next to you, telling him that they're under your protection.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Now, with the jumpsuits and the costumes in this episode, I always have to ask, were they comfortable?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the most comfortable thing you could wear. The jumpsuits, those were fine. That you just had, we had our shorts on and t-shirt underneath and one zip up and down, and you're good to go.
They seem like comfortable onesies.
Yes.
Of all the things you could cosplay, that's probably one of the most comfortable ones.
Absolutely, yeah. There was no problems with that wardrobe.
That was a. I'm sorry. I'm trying to put up the next image.
Isn't technology great?
Adega, is that the guy you were talking about that's like really tall?
Yeah, this scene doesn't quite do it as much justice as the whole scene because.
No, but because he's looking up at him when he's talking to him.
Right.
The camera angles were really they accentuated it.
He was pretty tall too, if I remember correctly. He was at least I'd say 6'4".
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Every time,
in that scene, it was important for Eric's to show his power too, right? It's not just sometimes these mob bosses have to do the physical stuff, right, and have to get involved and show them who's boss, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So
this is exactly what we're talking about. He's kind of like looking up at him.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that choice. Was it deliberate to have the actor opposite you to be that tall, just like to get that difference in height, making it really show the power difference, even if he's smaller, or is that just a happy accident?
No, we wanted to cast someone big. I mean, the intention of the scene here is the fact that, as Mike said, sometimes a boss has to get his hands dirty, but the mere fact that Nero is able to, size up this much bigger guy and tell him, tell your boss they're with me, and this guy backs off, lets you, in kind of a visual way, lets you know what kind of power and support the character wields in that prison system.
One of my friends used to work in prison system, and he's known people that gone in and out and helped them out with things. And this character and the way he manipulates things is fairly accurate to what he told me. The person who's smart, who knows how to use resources and use those resources to make people do things for him, are always the one that comes on top. And I watched the episode and I'm going, yeah, he nailed it. That's what they do in actual prison. It's from what I've been told anyway. Fortunately, I've never been there.
Yeah, there's some, growing up, I worked certain nightclubs that were run by the mob and the Hells Angels. You know, certain motorcycle gangs and such, or motorcycle clubs. But you could tell, and I knew some of the guys, and you could just see how the power struggle works and how important it is, and what they use every resource, like you were saying, they use everything to their advantage. It's a pretty amazing thing to see. So, you know, when you see that in real life and you see these guys, it makes it that transition easier when you actually do it for camera and stuff, because you can really draw on some of the things that I saw in real life, you know, with these guys.
I have a funny Hells Angels story. One time I saw like a biker gang, like, because I used to live in Vancouver, so like, and like outside of Vancouver, and they would always come out with their bikes. And one time I saw this guy's like bike, and it was like the sweetest bike I'd ever seen. And I was just kind of like just circling around it. And I was like, oh my God, this is like amazing. And like all these biker guys came out, and he was like the owner. And he was like so macho and stuff. And I was like kind of scared, because I was like, oh my God, he's totally Hells Angels, because I could see his tattoos and everything. And then he's like, you want to get on the bike? It's really nice. And I was just like, okay. And then I got on his bike, and he took pictures of me. Oh my God, he's the nicest guy ever. It was really funny.
Oh yeah, they're great people. You know, a lot of the guys were great. I mean, I grew up with some of these guys. I grew up in Montreal, bit of a rough area. So it was interesting, and to see how later on in life some of the guys went in to become Hells Angels. Some guys became lawyers. Some guys became doctors. It's an actor. It's a really interesting way how things work out sometimes. So.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, I want to address a question, and we try not to go with spoilers here, but there's a question from Dreamer out there.
Do I need to unplug?
No, I think you're good.
I'll unplug.
Okay, unplug if you want. Unplug.
Okay.
At some point, Joe, I'm sorry, Mike's character just kind of goes away. Was there a thought to bringing him back at some point?
Yeah, there was always a possibility. I mean, seasons 4 and 5 especially, you know, the long game was to sort of return a lot of the characters that we had seen in past episodes. Sadly, that did not come to fruition. But I mean, I really love the characters. Like I said, he's the type of character that is just incredibly fun to write for. Kind of this kind of dark horse who you can never predict.
You're good, Katie.
Come back, Katie.
Come back, Katie.
There we go. There we go. You're back. Okay, good.
Susanna, no, you've never watched any Stargate. What? You have to. You must.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Joe, what was your favorite part of this episode? Creator.
Well, I mean, my favorite part is really when 5 says kill them all, and then the android does. But you know, I mentioned that during the gallery shoot for season 1, I had Jodelle pick up Bubba so that I could take a photo of her. And I was like, oh, you know what? You know, the little girl with the big gun is kind of a classic anime trope that I have to put in this episode. So that's why I was like, she has to find Bubba. So it was just perfect. You know, she comes in, she grabs the gun, then she looks over, and she's the bigger gun, and then she looks over and sees Bubba. And then the next thing you know, she's actually, you know.
And then it works properly now.
Yes, it works properly because Anders fixed it in the last episode.
Now, question with this picture. Are those meant to be handcuffs? Because
no, they're not meant to be. I mean, if they were handcuffs, they would actually fit over her.
They're like a magnetic thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, the super geek community has mentioned it, and
yes.
Joe Malazzi has addressed it.
They're definitely not handcuffs.
A nice armrests. High tech.
And here we have. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is where 6 comes into the room to talk to. Put up the next image. To talk to the android, and they want 6 to talk to the android, and obviously, Was anybody surprised? Anybody watching this surprised? Katie, were you surprised that she didn't follow? You said basically you were never a member of the crew.
Oh, I knew the android wouldn't give out that information that easily, and just like my fan brain was trying to rationalize a way she could get out of it, and it's almost like at the exact same time I was like, wait, he's not really a member of the crew. Loophole. So that's the one time I actually felt like I was in the know with the episode and I wasn't just going to be whipped around a corner.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if we were watching a different sci-fi series, the android might have like listened to 6, right? But not in Dark Matter.
Here you go.
Okay. And any comments, Joe, about these scenes with about this scene in particular?
No, I mean it's kind of a she gives him kind of a shock too, right? I mean, she says you're not a member of this crew, and in fact it's arguable if you ever really were, and it just goes back kind of the android again being, as she put it, a logic-based entity, but clearly there's some emotion behind that line.
That's a good point. There is emotion, yeah.
Oh, you know what else I was going to tell you that made me laugh was like during the riot, how there's like people like throwing toilet paper from above. And I was like,
that is classic riot behavior.
Yeah.
Prison riot behavior.
Is it bad that I also thought, wait, don't do that. It's a hot commodity right now.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Such a waste.
So
Nina,
If only they knew.
I was going to say this is the interview, and whenever I do kind of multiple interviews, I always tend to like to intercut. So this scene very much mirrors the scene I did in episode 3, where it's the lie detector test, where you're bouncing back and forth between whoever the interviewer is. In this case, it's Shattuck. In episode 3, it was the android, and she'll ask the question. And you're going back and forth between her and the various individuals. So, you think she's asking the question to 3, but then you turn around and it's 2 answering. And I just kind of like that. It just, keeps this kind of scenes very alive.
I totally picked up on that. Also, I really, I remember when I first saw it anyways, I was like, oh no, when like later in the episode, when 3 gets brainwashed by the Nikkei.
Oh, Truffaut.
Yeah.
I have to say, so that scene, Truffaut, Tori is fantastic. Tori Higginson as Truffaut. And she's another character who very much like Mike's character is one of these, free agents who you don't really know what to expect, but can help you or may not help you. And, I pick up a bit of like chemistry between Truffaut and 3. And that's something actually Anthony was talking about. I remember after the episode was, we shot the episode, he's like, it would be kind of interesting if, something came of that down the line.
And we have a.
I love this one. Just get the jerky computer tech guy.
Of course.
Oh my God, that was funny.
It was satisfying.
And I just like to address something else from the chat from Sean Parrish that says Nina proves that there were toilets in the cells.
You're giving Ian grief for that last.
Good point. He goes back to the scene finishes with 3 being kind of open to the possibility, Joe, Susanna asked, how did you choose who was going to be the traitor for the Raza crew?
I worked out, this is like way back when I was first putting together the series. I just went through all the backstories and selected who it would be, and then built the stories based with that knowledge, so that we could build towards that reveal. Obviously, not make it obvious, but certainly make it at least satisfying once the pieces kind of fall into place at the end.
Mike, were you there for the filming of the entire episode, or were you there just for your days of filming?
Well, pretty much just my days of filming. But I was there for the first. I guess I don't want to do any spoilers. I was there for the first little while. So yeah, I was there. I was around quite a bit. And then what's great is we all hung out together too, which was nice.
Did you go play ping pong?
No, I think that happened after.
Okay.
Is it?
The cast there was this ping pong place, or there is this ping pong place in the neighborhood
Yes,
that the cast would always go to.
That's right. When I would be working, my wife and my kids came and stayed, and they found that ping pong place, so they would go there when I was working. Yeah.
So you missed the whiskey club?
No.
Oh.
No, the whiskey club. Let me tell you, that's one of my favorite things. No, I mean, Joe, how many bottles did you guys have?
We had a lot. We would actually go through about a bottle an episode, which is kind of crazy. And then after the show was canceled, I actually brought all the bottles home, and about 65 bottles I brought home of really high-end whiskey. In fact, on Twitter, I just finished up my 12 Days of Whiskey Christmas, where I featured a different bottle each day of Christmas, and of course I had some, capping it with the Yamazaki 18, which is like my favorite whiskey. So it was good times. I mean, I think every lunch, whenever we would do the wolf call, everyone who was within earshot would come up, and we would all do. Let's see, a shot, but
no, it's like
a sipping. Yeah.
I've been asking that of all the guests since I found out that Joe did that. So
Yeah, he has.
Joe's had quality confinement.
Yeah.
Joe, this is a great idea. The way I'm not sure. Nina said the word brainwashed. I'm not sure if that's really what's happening, but do you want to talk a little bit about this concept?
It was just. I mean, I wanted the Truffaut character to help them in a way, and so I just kind of came up with this technology, and it's essentially it's communication. Really, it's a flash conveyance where essentially she has, via sort of an ocular scan, implanted the layout of the Hyperion 8 into his brain. So
it's like subliminal messaging.
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of like a little bit of a brainwashing. But she used it for good, but you can also use it for nefarious purposes.
Yeah. So you never know sort of what type of tech the corporations can come up with. I mean, I'm sure they come up with the very best of the tech. And so it's just her way of helping to spring them.
Now, when I saw the greenish laser light on the eye, I don't know if any of you have ever had laser eye surgery. I actually popped out my retina a little bit with a Nerf dart. Yeah, it was a mess. And it was only a few years ago. I'm still a child. And I had to get it lasered back in. And I almost I gagged a little bit when I saw the laser on his eye because I had like flashbacks.
Oh,
my wife,
terrible.
Kemi, went in for her LASIK.
Yeah,
and she said that it smelled like chicken yakitori. That's one thing. Yeah.
Really?
It's
that's
awful.
gross.
It's they literally told me we're gonna seal up your eye like it's a manhole cover, and that it all went downhill after that. And it looked like that. Like, were you actually shining a light in his eye, or is that like After Effect?
No, that is a visual effect.
Okay, good.
It would have to be. There's no way they're gonna like shine a laser in his eye. That's
very true.
That's not good.
You would hope,
And make sure you guys are subbing to Gap Stargate's channel, guys. He did a promo for today. Great promo, and that is Gap rapping in the background of that promo, of those promos. Joe, was in the fourth season, would we find out where the toilets are, the bathrooms are in the Raza?
No, that would be more sort of a fifth season reveal, like a finale reveal.
Oh my God.
No one talks about toilets in space.
Nobody
Actually,
ever
I've
does.
written about it in mine because it's 1,000 years in the future. They're called evacuators.
Oh my.
There's a whole concept on it.
That's a much more elegant term.
Mike, what is your
Evacuator.
Mike, what is your favorite sci-fi show? Like, not that you've been on, just like, what's your favorite show?
Well, there's a show I just finished watching called The Boys.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really enjoyed. Yeah, I guess just offhand, that's one that I've just watched. So I've really enjoyed that. I guess that's sci-fi-ish, comic book.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah.
Good answer.
I actually haven't seen it yet because I'm scared of shows that don't have an ending. So I was like, I'm going to wait until this ends. I've heard good things, but I'm going to have to check it out now. Now that it's got the approval from Mike,
But
I'm going to be like,
each
okay.
season has its own kind of. Each season is self-contained, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay, good to know. Okay.
Mike, you didn't have any scenes with Carlo, I don't believe, right?
No. Carlo, why am I drawing a blank all this?
The warden?
Oh, no, yes. No, I think I met him on set. Shooting different scenes. Obviously, you come across some of the other actors, but I didn't have any scenes with him, if I remember correctly.
When I saw his character for the first time and like just throughout the entire episode, I couldn't help but think back to the Star Trek Voyager Bride of Chaotica episodes and like the evil Chaotica. Like he had a very old-timey kind of villain feel to him. I loved it.
And John Burns, thank you, John Burns. Thank you for the super chat, John. Mike, are you aware of the work Melissa, Zoe, Roger have been doing since Dark Matter was paused?
Paused.
I like that.
I know Roger's on Corner, right?
Melissa's on Rookie.
On the Rookie, that's right.
So he's on Jam.
Yes. So I did know. You know what's great? That's what social media is great. Is you get to keep in touch with all your buddies. I mean, Roger and I have been friends for years, so we always catch up when we can. And Melissa and I still stay in touch in that. So and through social media, you see what everybody's doing, and that's what I love about it.
Joe, what'd you say Zoe's on? I didn't.
A show called Jam.
Jam.
Singer Jan Arden. Yeah.
Oh.
By the way, for everybody in the chat, we had Simone Bailey had a great in-depth interview with Mike, for which I'm going to link below this video, so you guys can go check that out if you want to find more about Mike. But Mike, I was thinking about it when Simone was interviewing you. My parents are European too, and I went through the same thing about being overdressed for school and for everything. And paying the price for it.
Yeah,
I really identified when you said that.
For those of you guys that don't know, look, my parents were from the former Yugoslavia, and I was born in Montreal, but my brother and obviously my mother and father were born in Belgrade, in the former Yugoslavia, in Serbia. So my dad had this idea that, you go to school, well, I guess it was like that where he grew up, but you have to wear suits and he would put me in like these corduroy suits with like brown hush puppies, and we had no money. And so my dad would label every article of clothing I had with my name on it.
Aww.
And I had white hair, had terrible teeth, and I was an ugly duckling, and it was just hilarious because I would get picked on so much, and people ask me, "Well, how'd you learn how to fight?" And I said, "Well, I had no choice."
I'm just gonna bring that up. There's the inspiration for the martial arts right there.
People, pick on you, so you just have to fight. You just have to figure out a way, because eventually you get fed up with it, right? You're like, okay,
that kind of reminds me of Cobra Kai. I'm watching that right now, and it's all about that.
I mean, it wasn't that terrible. It was just most of the people made fun of you and that. But, you know, I look back and I laugh. And my poor dad had no idea what he was doing, thinking he was doing the right thing. But I got some great pictures. I'll have to post them.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Definitely. Yes.
And Mike, what martial arts have you been practicing?
Look, I did a bit of everything. It was mostly, you know, when I played hockey and worked in nightclubs, and I was a doorman, obviously. So you have fights, and then so you learn how to do a lot of joint manipulation stuff just because you try to minimize the damage if you're going to take somebody out because you can get sued as we're growing up. And then just went on did some taekwondo, some jeet kune, boxing. Boxing was always something that, you know, my buddies and I would just get together and train that way. But yeah, I'm not like a master in anything. It just, I know a little bit about a lot of different fighting systems. So yeah, I wouldn't consider myself a ultimate martial artist by any stretch of the imagination, but I've had my experience. How's that?
Mike, when you were a kid, did you want to be an actor? Like, what was your dream job that you wanted to be?
The acting came later on. Sports was always my thing. I really wanted to be a professional athlete, but an amazing thing was my brother, when VHSs first came out, my brother's 7 years older than I am. So we got VHS and we would rent movies. And I remember Escape from New York, Mad Max. Mad Max was the one movie that I keep telling people, but it was the one movie that made me just imagine myself in this post-apocalyptic world.
Ooh.
And that always stuck with me. And then when I started thinking about, you know, my mom said, well, I didn't know you're an actor, but I always wondered because you would recreate scenes in the backyard on your own. Like, you know, Eric would say, go out, get outside. You know, back in the day, they tell you, go outside, go play, right? And I'd play if nobody was available or if people were. We'd play, you know, we'd shoot. You know, we had these big ditches where I grew up. And, you know, we'd jump in the ditches and the leaves. So we always created some, you know, fun shooting stuff, fight stuff. So it was always, my mom would always laugh. She goes, I knew you were going to be an actor because you would do it all the time, even by yourself. So.
Oh, that's so cool.
Joe, do you want to answer this question of Time Profit? Why didn't 3 ask 2 for lipstick?
Because 2 doesn't wear lipstick. Her lips are naturally red.
Ooh.
Lucky.
And,
naturally flawless.
What about this one, Joe? This other question from Rapunzel. Who would have helped break them out if Tori hadn't gone to help them? I'm sorry. If Tori's character had gotten killed off.
Probably another character I would have had to create. But so it's a good thing that her character stuck around.
It feels so natural the way they get out of situations. It doesn't feel like you're just, okay, we've written ourselves into a corner. Here's a new character that we're just going to bust them out with. Like, you use your resources. And
result writing is one of my pet peeves. So I try to avoid it as much as possible because it really annoys me when I see it on other shows or movies.
Katie, I have a couple of questions for you because you're like a first-time viewer now. So, one, have you forgiven Six for betraying the crew? Like, are you like, okay, yeah. And also, do you think he's going to survive? Like, are you sad that he's been hurt?
See, okay. So I've not quite forgiven him. I'm going to let his guilt just eat his character for a little bit longer. And I don't know. After 1, I don't know if you're just gonna slaughter the crew. So I think they'll find a way to make him pull through, or they'll just like keep him in stasis until season 3. Either way, I'm okay with it. I figure hopefully he pulls through and he repairs that relationship with 5. She's so little and I don't want her to get hurt.
Well, I like that scene where she's kind of she reaches out for him, like when they freeze him, she just kind of puts her hand on the thing. Like, it's like she's starting to forgive him already. Like she feels bad for what went down.
And it's totally understandable what 6 did. Like, you put yourself in his shoes, you think that it's your job and you're doing things for the greater good, but it just didn't work out that way.
I would never believe in
No.
corporations personally. Just saying, I'd be like, corporations, no.
It's not believing the corporations, believing the Galactic Authority.
No, I'd be like, no. A name like Galactic Authority, no.
No.
She doesn't like authority.
No. I'm a rebel.
Like William Jackson asks, when you were kids, were you kind boys? Were you boys kind?
Aw.
Yeah, I think my brother. You know what? My brother was a great big brother. He taught me how to be, tough and showed me how to fight stuff. But he was always, my mom used to always say that I'd always leave, like if I had a candy bar or something, or jujubes or whatever, I'd always leave some for my brother.
Aww.
So yeah, we're still close to this day. So, but
And
yeah.
good night, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, I think I'd like to think we were good boys. We did a lot of bad things, but we were good boys.
The end result is good.
Yes.
Good night, Gap. Thanks for participating, Gap. And thanks for for the promos that you do. We see Mike's character here as the guy in jail who has fresh grapes.
Oh my gosh, that part had me cracking up.
And a nice bottle of wine.
Now, were you actually eating there?
Oh yeah. Well, any excuse Anthony, gets to eat, he will eat.
That's funny. Jeff did ask a question earlier that we didn't catch, but I'm going to ask it. Where does the character Nyx originate from?
My head.
Your head. Okay, there you go.
I'm not sure how to answer that.
I gotta say that you guys mentioned it last week. The actress does look like she should be modeling underwear. Really,
Oh, Melanie.
See, when I saw her first, I thought, oh my gosh, she could be in like an alternate version of Michael Burnham from Star Trek Discovery. She just instantly had that badass factor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting the fact that she can hold her own against two, who is obviously a superior human specimen.
Do you want to hear my theory?
Yes, please. What's your
Ooh,
theory?
yes.
I think they're sisters.
Oh.
I could be wrong, but I think they're
Interesting.
sisters.
Interesting. We'll find out.
Yeah, find out.
I should write down all of my future predictions and just see how many are wrong.
Thanks, John Burns. Not to upset anyone, Mad Max took place in 2021.
Yeah. Posted it on Instagram. I have a caption that says,
No way.
Max was in 2021.
I wouldn't, if COVID wasn't a thing, I imagine people would take over a desert plain somewhere and reenact it.
Yeah.
Well, nobody here lives in Australia, right? So
Yeah.
Oh no.
maybe the rest of the world in 2021 is not.
Yeah.
I really love the like you guys were saying before. I really love the way that that Mike's character is written, Joe. It's very believable that just being in the whole prison environment is its own little world, and I think it was very well written.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It was a fun episode. The more that I watch the show, the more I wish I, one, was born earlier, and two, went into acting, because this just is a fun show to watch, and I always, at the end of it, feel like, I wish I could have been a part of that. But in some ways I am, so I'm happy.
No, and look at it from an actor's point of view too, right? For me, you get to create these worlds, right? So Joe, that's what makes it really fun. And then you have guys that like Joe and Paul that can write really well, and it just makes it that much better. So you've got all these great sets, these great storylines, and these great actors that you get to play with. So it's really fun. I have a blast doing those things.
And also it's like a good on-set environment. I think it was the same way with Stargate. Because there are a lot of productions where people aren't happy to be there, and it can be kind of trying, or people aren't organized, and it can be exhausting.
Well, Mike, go ahead, I'm sorry.
When you look at it as you're spending 12 to 14, 15 hours a day together every day, all you need is one or two people to be bad eggs, or have egos that. And I'm not just talking about the actors. It happens with producers and directors too. I've been on those types of shows where you just hate it. You're just not. It's not fun to be around. You're just like, why does it have to be so difficult? I truly believe. I think things have changed a lot, but I truly believe that you get the best work when everybody's happy and everybody's doing. Everybody treats each other well. Sounds like a simple concept, but it doesn't happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, when we go look at your IMDb, you're so accomplished. Everything from X-Files, Smallville, Predator. Is there anything, as a veteran actor, is there anything you would do differently if you had to go back as a younger actor? And is there anything you've learned that you would do differently now?
I mean, you can always say yes. There's a few things, and there's always, look, as an actor, you do scenes, and then when you see it, sometimes you always see the maybe that choice wasn't the best, or I could have done this, or I could have done that. But I've learned to trust it more. Where I'd say, I've been doing it long enough that I think I know what I'm doing, and I don't have to agree with what everybody says. It's another thing I've learned is if I don't think this scene should go this way, then just I need someone to explain it to me now, and I'm not afraid to ask anymore. I said this in some other interviews, but coming up in Canada as an actor wasn't the easiest thing because a lot of the American public would and the producers would say, no, Canadians can't act, right? It's only Americans that can act, and so we were under the gun saying you can't blow an audition. You have to be perfect, which was great because a lot of actors came in and did well, and we're always, we acted well. But I think you lose a lot of the creativity when that happens if you're worried about making a mistake. So I think I would have told myself, enjoy the audition process more and be a bit more free with it. Don't worry about the words so much. Or what
so there's a lot of pressure there for Canadian actors, or there has been.
There definitely was when I started, absolutely, because you knew that they would get most of the guest stars from LA, or essentially everybody came out of LA, and you wouldn't even get a lot of opportunities for guest stars or some of the bigger roles. So eventually, when shows like Stargate came around, they started looking at more Canadian talent, and that was great for us. And now, when I go to LA, and I'm based out of LA now, it's not an issue. So you sort of know what to do. But I probably would have told myself, just enjoy it a bit more. But every actor's got to go through that. I think it's part of, there's nothing that I went through that I hate or that I wish I could do over, because I think it makes you who you are at this stage.
Any aspirations behind the camera, Mike, for you?
Yeah, I do want to create some more projects. So I'm working on some things, trying to come up with some stuff. But yeah, I'd like to get into producing more.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow. What's like your favorite genre to do that? Is it sci-fi or is it something else?
Definitely sci-fi is one of them. I also like procedurals, like crime shows. I like cop shows. I always have. So and also enjoy real stories that from people's lives. That one thing I'm working on is part a bit of my life mixed with something else. So that's what I'm focusing on right now. So yeah, definitely there's a bunch of things, but I've had so much experience in the sci-fi genre that it's definitely up there. It's one of my top 2 choices.
Nice.
Thank you, John Burns. Thank you so much for your support, John. Yes, Joe has mentioned about bringing in real journalists to do that, and why not a meteorologist? And that has come up has come up. Thank you, John Burns. It has
If
come up.
Anyone's looking.
That's my meteorologist sci-fi series that's in the works. But
There you go.
we'll get back.
That's funny,
I'm
Joe.
sure I can find a nice little area of North Dakota to sneak across the border.
Perfect.
There you go.
I've always been in Canada. What? Yeah.
And Joe, this is a great idea. It was. I thought it was pretty cool for them to meet in this way in secret.
So yeah.
And again, it
6
looks
would be like-
freezing.
Oh, so cold.
So cold.
And the best part about this is that they probably said, "Awesome, Joe. This costs no money, right?"
What do you mean?
The scene doesn't really cost.
Well,
no-
it actually costs more money than shooting it on a set because it's a travel day, so you're shooting it on location.
Oh, my bad. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. Awesome. Okay, and let's see. Sorry, while I put up the next image. Oh yes, the next image I'm putting up is that favorite scene. I think it was Nina who said it, where Mike knocks out 4.
Oh, that was so
Yeah.
funny.
Good. The second 4 turned around, you knew. You're like, take the shot. Take the shot.
I thought you were gonna stab him or something, and then just hit him. And I was like, well,
Pull
and
out
he
the
went
toothbrush.
down. So and 4 is pretty strong. So like when you hit him, I was like, oh, he's knocked out. Like he's out for the count. It showed how strong your character was.
Yeah, you know, he had to
And
be
resourceful,
too, you know.
quick thinking.
Yeah,
Mhm.
seizes the moment.
Well, that's the
I was
thing
just gonna
about a
say that-
mob boss or any type of boss in prison or something. You don't hesitate to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Just there's the boom. It's done. No question. Just do it.
Now, in sci-fi terms, this is pretty comedic.
Yeah, it was very comedic. It was so funny.
I loved it.
You think he's gonna
Yeah,
get
yeah.
over this,
Anthony and I had fun with it too.
I really think this is the episode that really solidified my liking of 3.
Oh my
Ooh.
gosh! So basically, now we have,
We've come full
we've done
circle.
it. Yeah.
I still
Yeah.
don't trust him. I'm still, it's like that student that you think in class has stopped being the class clown, really starting to get straight A's. You're just waiting for them to screw up. Like, I don't want him to. But,
We'll see. Who knows what the future holds, right?
Yeah.
you do. Everyone else here does.
Yes. Okay, that's true. That's true. That's true.
I was actually going to comment on another character that I really liked, which was Four's, opponent.
Former
Yeah.
childhood friend.
Yes.
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 The lovely Ellen Wong, who
She was great.
who was recently appearing on Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling on Netflix, and she is terrific, and also has terrific care of Renee Chan, who put together that. It's a very elaborate hairstyle for her.
Yeah, it was great though. It really shows like the culture of their society and like just and I loved like how she speaks to him in Japanese, like she says "gomenasai," and she goes into those little characteristics I really love about the characters.
Mhm.
The little
Yeah,
things.
she's a fun character, and especially as time goes on,
Yeah.
she gets very interesting.
Ooh.
Joel, there was a lot of actors in these first 2 episodes, right? A lot of characters.
Yep.
Wow.
Actually,
Amazing. Wow. Question for Mike. Did you ever have to learn to do an American accent? Like a New York accent to get a part?
Hello,
I've done
walking
that
in.
before, but I think for the most part is to try not to sound too Canadian is the biggest thing.
Not say A.
You don't say a, and Canadians have sort of a
Oats.
note at the end of their sentences, and that was the big thing that I learned early on is as soon as you said something like that, I mean, an American producer would say, "Oh, you use Canadian," or "Oh, you sound too Canadian," or "Don't say sorry." is another
Sorry
one.
about.
But I think for me I always focused on it anyways, and I'd spend a lot of time in the U.S., so it wasn't as difficult a transition for me, I guess.
For me, it's the thing I notice more than anything is you're welcome. Like in Canada, when someone does something for you, gives you something, you're in a retail store, you say thank you, people will say you're welcome. Right in the States, no one says you're welcome. It's always
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I never noticed that before.
I know in Michigan, like just from the area that I grew up in, it was like a couple hours from the border. We occasionally say you're welcome.
Oh.
But I think that's more my parents wanting me to have good manners.
Maybe just an LA thing. I don't know. Oh yeah, so here we go with the. This is now the riots in full effect, and
I really like that move where she's like pinning him against the wall with the that was the moment when I realized I am so out of shape I could not even lift my legs to that point.
Yeah, it was a good riot. I really like that other scene too with Five, and I'm sorry, I just totally spaced on the lady's name that you just said.
Nix.
Nick, no, not Fours.
Shattuck. No.
Fours
Ellen's
rival.
character, Misaki.
Yeah, Misaki. With Misaki, when they're fighting in the hallway, and then she just Five just takes her out with a gun, and she's just like, "I'm sorry, we're on a time. Like we're running out of time here." Because they were just totally getting ready to duke it out, and you're like, "Yes, let's see what happens," and then it's just like, "No, not right now. We're gonna get to this fight later."
Trash Panda asked how long did it take to shoot? I assume this the scene. I think it was an all day thing. I mean,
a couple days.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it was at least a couple days, and we had rehearsals too. We had I think two rehearsal days as well.
Yeah. John Stead, the amazing John Stead.
Yeah, he did a
When
great
you guys threw that guy down, how did that work out? Because it was, he gets thrown. Is that table?
He goes over the railing and right into pads. So yeah.
Ooh.
And then you pick him up, kind of.
That will look painful because I was like, there's no mat there. So when he fell on that table, I was like, that looks painful.
Mm.
Yeah, they shot it in two pieces, if I remember correctly. But, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And this is a culmination of this is great, the great scene that Joe was talking about, and Zoe was very badass in this one too.
Yeah, and she kills him, and there's an altered take where she holds the gun on Shattuck, and Shattuck kind of looks at her and says, "Fuck you, robot," and shoots her. And then we were in the editing room, and Jay's like, "We can't." And I was like, I checked with the network. We can't do it a lot, but we could actually do it. He's like, I don't want to go down this road. So.
Oh, that's funny.
That's a kind of reminds me. You probably could have gotten away with it because of what happened on Nickelodeon last night. They had an NFL football game on.
Yeah.
You heard it?
Yeah. What did he say? Basically, they called a penalty on him, and he was like, "What the fuck?"
Literally, and you could hear it on the mic. And it was playing on Nickelodeon, and they didn't mute it.
No, I didn't hear that.
It was horrifying. So if they could do it, you could do it.
It was the only time I would have done it.
That's actually a good question, Joe. If you got let's say if you got the miniseries, let's say hypothetically, on HBO or something where you can swear a lot, would you add that into the show?
No, I don't think I would add any more swearing. They say shit, for instance, and I think that's an evergreen curse. I mean, now today, 300-400 years from now, that's going to be the go-to curse.
You can always write in like a little episode where the android finally decides, you know what, I'm going to be more like the crew. Let me just add in some decorative words and kind of like Spock and just be like, well, double dumbass on you sort of thing.
And here's another picture of Mike in the just about to engage in the riot.
Mike, your hair looks fabulous in that picture.
Thank you. I was going to say.
Wow.
Quite the transformation. Although you do have the nice swoop right now, so
Yeah.
hair is probably one of the hardest things I can imagine for people on set.
Filming the riot, Mike?
Yeah, it was great. Again, like I think it was at least 2 days, Joe. And the ride sequence was great. I love doing action. Although I have to say, I had just had, I think it was probably 8 weeks prior. I ruptured my biceps, so I had to get my biceps attached. And I had to do these fight, and it was the first time doing a fight scene again. So I was like, I know I got the green light that I'm okay, but I've been injured before and other things, and you're always like, okay, I hope this goes well, because you're warmed up, and that was the only thing was I made sure. But yeah, my biceps was ruptured, so I got it reattached, and then it's probably about 8 weeks.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 10 weeks. Yeah.
One of the things I was thinking about, Joe, was like, how come in the fight, like, because they're beating up the guards, and sometimes the guards kind of like, they go down. I was like, well, why aren't they taking out their little earpieces and quickly just putting it in their own ears?
Ooh.
To what end?
So that when that big alarm thing goes off again, if it does, that they're not the one getting hurt.
Because when she changes the modulation, it's going to actually hit the ear pieces.
Oh.
So that's sort of why she basically changes the modulation, basically.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Right. Sorry. Okay. Gotcha.
Thank you, John Burns. Reminds me about the scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles when Steve Martin drops over a dozen four-letter friends. My dad used to say, a dozen four-letter friends getters.
What? You've never seen that movie?
Never
That's a great
seen
movie.
it.
What? That is one of the best, greatest
great.
comedies ever
Really?
produced. Yes.
Oh my God.
You know what? Everyone in the
Amazing.
comments could probably list 1,000 great classic movies, and I probably wouldn't have seen them.
You need to add this to your at least like Thanksgiving watch list next year for
Okay.
sure.
You know,
Kids
I
these
have a
days.
weekend coming up. Yeah. I mean, I grew up mostly on DVDs and maybe a few VHS tapes. So was it released on VHS? Can I maybe find it?
You probably could, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still have one of those, what are they called? The machines that do the zzz, and then you put them in and they play it.
A VHS, a
Is it like
VCR.
yeah, one of those things.
Oh,
I can take that out of storage.
You
Oh
just
my
you
God.
just killed us all, Kate.
Yeah.
I feel so freaking old right now. Katie, get out of here. Kick her.
I'm the baby. It's great. I know in 50 years I'll be the one in the corner like, how do you not know what DVDs are?
And Mike, Joe is always awesome in getting us some behind the scenes pictures. And we're going to take a look at a few of these. And
I'm
as
so
I
happy you
Yeah.
got that.
We had hidden cameras in the dressing room. I didn't tell you. Mike, so
oh boy.
there you go.
And as I put those up, by the way, Katie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, when they get on the freeway in reverse, is hysterical. That's one of my favorite things in all.
So many
You know what?
things. That
I'll
movie.
plan on watching it this weekend so I can come back next week with my little short
review.
review. Yeah.
I would love to do a Joe. If you ever want to do a breakdown of any of your favorite comedies, I'd be interested to see what you
All
think.
right. Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
Once we're done with Dark Matter.
Yes. We have to keep going. I can't take more than a week off. That's where I draw the line, and I will start binging. That is a slippery slope.
There we are. Okay.
So there's the lovely Tori Higginson.
That is such a cool set. The lines are just so, I don't know, it makes sense.
Ian, I said, an evil genius.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Oh yeah, Katie, you weren't here last week. That's right. This was a great, we had a great interview with Ian. Wow. Yeah.
Okay, and there she is lugging. So there were two versions of Baba, and she's carrying obviously the rubber, the lighter rubber version that is in my guest room right now.
Is it really?
Yeah, I basically ended up keeping like one of each gun, a bunch of props, costumes. I think I have one of each android costume uniform. So
Please tell me you wear them when you go out.
I do not.
Oh my God.
See, that's in lockdown, in quarantine and stuff. I've decided to start wearing my cosplays out to the grocery store just to see if people notice. They haven't yet. So if you do that, I'd be interested to see.
That's some subtle cosplay, yeah.
That would probably work.
Okay. And
I also feel like that would be a comfortable costume. Just a nice onesie.
Yeah. I hear this is Ellen as Misaki making her grand
She's
entrance.
so badass. I love
That's
it.
a great
And-
costume. Speaking of costumes,
Yeah. And then, Bruce, our director, this is that kind of cool slow-mo shot of her coming in and walking past camera.
I love that.
It's a great intro to her character.
I bet she loved that role.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and that's where she would have said, or she did say,
I was half expecting Five to just be like, you know what, maybe hold off on killing her, or because she had that, she had a second, and she could have said something, but she didn't. She was like,
she did not.
Oh.
thank you, John Burns. Katie Casablanca, The Apartment,
Nope.
Citizen Kane. Oh, everything you need to watch. Courtesy
I've
of
only
John Burns.
Of that entire list, I've only seen Rocky.
Wow. You know what? I will admit, I haven't seen Butch Cassidy and the Sundance
Really?
Kid.
I don't even know
That
what
is
that's
like one of the
about.
greatest Westerns ever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I might have
That's probably my favorite Western.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Wait. I haven't seen Citizen Kane either. I haven't seen that.
And The Untouchables, Katie? You haven't seen The Untouchables?
I don't even know what that is.
I hated The Untouchables. But
Oh, you did? You hated it?
I absolutely hate it.
The movie, you mean, Joe? Or
Yeah.
the
Yeah, I
Really?
did not.
How come?
Very good. I just thought it was overly stylized and silly, and basically I thought it was incredibly clunky. And was it Diploma? Was it Diploma? And just very, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It was.
it just very heavy-handed.
did not resonate.
Oh, by the way, I just want to mention this is Inga Canadral, the actress here. And the way we ended up casting her, kind of interesting story, is we were looking to cast for the character of Renault. And usually, people send in this audition, but sometimes people send in audition tapes. And this actress sent in an audition tape, which was, no, actually, she didn't send an audition tape. She actually, sorry, you can send an audition tape, but you can also send in demos. And demos are just basically scenes of you acting in other shows. And usually people who send in demos feel like they really, they should be offer only. They feel like they've reached kind of a point where they don't feel the need to audition, that they're good enough, that you should just offer the role to them. And, sometimes they're terrific, but this is an actress that I've never heard of, and she sent in a demo, and she wasn't very good. But in the demo, one of the scenes, she was acting opposite an actress who was really good, and that was Inga. So that's how I was like, this actress is not very good, but who is that actress? Like, that's Inga Canada. And so that's how Inga did not audition for the role, but she got the role based on someone else's demo reel.
Oh wow!
Speaking of the auditions, Mike, did you have to audition for this, or was this like a?
No, I had to audition.
Yeah, simply because I knew Mike, but Jay didn't. So, but I was very much in Mike's corner because really I kind of wrote the role with him in mind. So.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
How often does something like that happen with where you actually end up picking somebody else through that something like that?
Never. That was the only time it's ever happened.
I like her dress, by the way.
Yeah, which I'm going to get Noreen Landry, our costume designer, on, and yeah, that hair was very cool. But I remember it took like hours to do.
Yeah, I was there one of the days. I remember, and it was just took a long time to get done.
I bet that looks
all the hair gel.
Yeah,
she looks great. She looks great, but I have to say I love her even more in just a plain ponytail, which is what I have requested in a later episode. You'll see.
Nice.
But I think she looks fantastic in them, just like the ponytail. And so this is
ponytail more appropriate for her character.
For the intro, and the fact that she's essentially acting as an emissary. I think the hairstyle she has in this episode is perfect. But for kind of lounging around the palace, I think the ponytail is more apropos. So what Renee would do is she would send me a bunch of sketches of potential hairstyles, like usually 5 or 6, and I would choose one. So this was, I think, one of the hairstyles that she had pitched. This one.
If I were to do that, it'd be on a stick figure. Mm-hmm. So props for the drawing. I think that's one skill I will never have in my life. Cannot draw at all.
I'm the same.
Same here, yep.
Okay, and there's Bruce. I call him Cowboy Bruce McDonald because he is almost never without his cowboy hat.
Nice.
He's a guy I would love to get on, but on here, but he doesn't really internet much. So I think it would be kind of awesome.
Who is that behind Bruce, Joe?
I'm trying to see because of pictures. I think over on the left is Steve, who is part of John's stunt team, and then I believe that's Alex Malari Jr. Yes, there we go.
Hey. Nice little lens flare there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, and there's Roger's contribution to the Whiskey Club. I think there was a Yoichi 12-year-old Yoichi, or no, was it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that could be colored water in a bottle, and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Until you tried it.
Like I've never. I had one drink in my entire life, and it was a Mike's Hard Lemonade. Found out I don't drink, so I'll just take your word for it that it's good.
Joe, we were talking about on several streams about. I mentioned how there was possibly a crossover between Stargate and Dark Matter, and the question came up several times. How would you? So Dark Matter's in the future. Obviously, would there be time travel involved?
There would be through the something called the Blink Drive, which Katie will learn about in later episodes.
I love that whole thing. I'm so upset.
Oh, there we are. Posing.
I love those swords.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, when I found my old Nerf sword last week, and I may or may not have pretended to be 4 in my basement alone. It was kind of sad, but it was fun.
Toilet paper. Look at all the toilet paper.
Look at that. Who's going to clean up this mess? Outrageous.
I imagine after every take, you're like, all right, wrap it around the roll again.
Were you like, at some point, you're like, we need more toilet paper?
No, they made sure we had more than enough toilet paper.
That's cool.
And there was a meeting of minds, Anthony Lemke and our director.
There could be a subtitle here. So when do I get to eat in this episode?
Mm-hmm. He always eats.
I was just thinking that too, like caption this, like, so when's lunch?
These are great pictures, Joe. Thank you.
Thanks. Oh, and Lieutenant Anders, Jeff Teravainen, I was thinking of like, I have an episode. I want to reach out to Jeff and have him join us. If he survives, who knows when we'll see him again.
He just liked a few of my tweets about this stream, so he might be watching.
Yeah. We would love to have Jeff on. He's been pretty interactive with our tweets.
And over on the very right is Lauren Bancroft Wilson, who is our visual effects supervisor. And here we're using blue screen for set extension. So to make the, obviously our prison set look a lot deeper than it really is.
Wow. Very cool.
I feel like I'd prefer a green screen over a blue screen just because I wear blue all the time.
Well, that's why, you would do it, yes. In your forest, you usually use a blue screen. Like on
That's a cool picture.
Yeah, there's
Nice.
Roger.
He kind of looks like a Jedi in that picture.
And a very tiny lightsaber.
Is he imitating 4?
I don't know if he's imitating 4, but or he's auditioning for a shot at using the sword in a future episode.
I think it's the red. He's got that Sith glow.
Yeah. Okay, and so this is the quarters, and what we would do is that section is usually either panels or wall, and it would essentially wild, meaning it would, we would be able to move those walls back to get the cameras in here. So, just kind of an example of sort of how Ian designed the set to make it very easy to shoot in there.
Nina, just really quick, are you at 1,000?
Almost. I'm at 991.
Ooh.
You are. We need 9 people to sub to Nina. Put your link in again.
This is the Galactic Authority home starter kit for moles, and this is essentially the equipment he used, Six used to take down the rest of the crew.
Spiky grenade.
The gas grenade, the kind of the toxins,
Who put this together, Joe?
That was again our props team, led by props master Victoria Klein, who I will also try to get in the show at some point.
Looks cool. Looks very cool.
Look at these two. These two tough guys.
Is that carrot in his mouth?
It is.
Oh my god.
Oh man, that's funny.
Hey Mike, did Anthony talk your ear off?
We got along well, actually.
Yeah.
No, but he's we had a blast. Yeah.
He's a chatty guy. Actually,
Yeah.
I just spoke to him actually a couple of days ago. He's I mentioned the stream, and he's going to try. He actually works, so he's going to try to get away at one of these days, like one of the 3-centric episodes.
I'd probably faint.
Yeah,
Remember, you can tell him how much you hated him at the very beginning.
I know, that's why it'd be from embarrassment.
that's so funny.
Hey, there's
The riot crew.
Yeah.
All the stunt guys.
Yeah.
It's almost like a class picture
Yeah.
Aw, so cute.
from a prison.
Oh, that's a nice
There's
picture.
Bruce with Tori and her awesome collar.
Bruce just looks like a giant teddy bear, and I like it.
He is kind of a giant teddy bear.
Yeah, he was great. It was fun.
How often did Bruce direct, Joe?
He directed. I mean, he directed every season. I'm sure maybe 1 or 2 episodes each season. Oh, there he is, very proud of his trash pile.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Y'all didn't fill that all the way up. You had like a baseboard.
Yeah,
and
I think
on top.
so. And there he
Okay.
is. You guys recognize Ivan Bartok, on-set producer?
Still looks cold on set, even if you're inside.
Yeah.
It
I mean,
does.
it was.
Yeah, it was. I remember it was extremely cold that for a couple weeks stretch, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because those were the early episodes. I'm not sure when we shot. We either shot late December or early January.
Yeah, it was January. Yeah.
Wait, so you're telling me you made them do that like stripped down scene in a freezing cold locker of a
No,
set?
it wasn't freezing cold,
Wow.
but it was a bit chilly.
I was
Couldn't be
wondering
too
why they
cold,
were-
otherwise you'd see their breath all the time.
Right. Exactly.
Trash Panda Coco was saying, is someone specifically assigned to take BTS photos, or is it just from a bunch of people? I think you're the one taking these pictures, right, John?
Yeah, for the most part, it's me. We do have a photographer who would come in for 2 days out of each episode and shoot some, kind of behind the scenes. And those are the official photos you usually see, or on the Sci-Fi site or any sites covered us. We would kind of send that out as part of the press package. But for the most part, the behind the scene ones are mostly mine.
But you've always been that way, Joe. You've always
Yeah.
taken that.
Much to the annoyance, especially of I recall this Stargate Atlantis cast. Yes, I would always be taking, but I'm like kind of when you're young and mom's taking all those photos and you're like, oh no, not another photo, mom, you're embarrassing me. But now you look back and you're like, oh, I'm so glad mom was able to take all those photos and commemorate, those times.
Right.
Totally.
Oh, good question from Jeff Beeler. What can Mike tell us about his upcoming projects?
Ooh.
Let's hear it.
I have a series that'll be coming out. I'm not quite sure when. It'll be on the Sci-Fi channel, and it's called Day of the Dead, based on the George Romero movie from I think it's 1985. I should know this, but yeah, we did 10 episodes, and we just wrapped up in December, this past December. So, looking lots of blood and gore.
Nice.
It'll
That
be
sounds
great.
exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I just did some ADR for it on Friday, and yeah, it looks good.
And Mike, you said something very interesting when we asked you about doing work behind the camera. Do you want to elaborate more on that, or is that top secret?
I'm still putting together some projects, but yeah, I just want to produce some more. That's essentially what I want to get into. I mean, I still want to act. I love acting. Still my favorite thing to do. So, but I definitely want to be more involved in the creative process of shows, and to have more of a say would be great. So that's where I'm sort of veering off a little bit.
Okay.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Do you ever see yourself in any new Stargate that comes up, that might come up?
If they'll have me, yeah, I'll do it. I'd love to, obviously. I think it would actually be kind of cool if they do come up with a new Stargate and I show up in there somewhere. But absolutely, I'd love to.
And yes, Galinda does count if you sub with a different account. John Burns, do we like the Sci-Fi Channel? Didn't we swear lifetime hatred for canceling Dark Matter?
I'm still
Postponing, pausing.
out. I'm still out on Sci-Fi because of that.
I just say, basically, I will tell everybody you should definitely tune in and watch, Mike's show. However, for the record, Twitter allows you to mute certain words, and I think I have 3 words that I've muted, and one of them is sci-fi. So I have basically no news about the network or for years.
I remember when that happened. I was at the forefront of the boycott sci-fi.
Bless your heart.
Yeah. I was like, Team Raza.
Only basically, come back in just to watch Mike's show. That's
Yes,
what I will.
There we go.
That's it.
Yeah, Day of the Dead.
Yes.
We
There
make
you are.
exceptions here. We make exceptions for sure.
And
Sure
Mike,
thing.
what about Redstone Agent Tanner? Says Jeff Beeler.
Oh, it's a feature I did. We actually shot during the pandemic in Texas, of all places.
Ooh.
During
And
the pandemic. Yeah.
all safe. Everything was great. In a small town called Corsicana, Texas. It's a fun, slow burn of a movie. I think it's a really interesting take on this hitman's journey in his life. And I play FBI detective that's tracking this. We're both after this one child who has something that belongs to us. So,
Ooh, that's
hence the name Redstone.
Ooh.
That's the stone, and I'm tracking him down, and so is the hitman. So.
Mike, we've had you for so long. Thank you so much. But if you want to, I'm going to throw this last question at you because I think it's a really good question for everybody who's listening. Any tips for someone who wants to get into acting?
Yeah, study, and watch movies, read books on acting. Look, there's no one method that's great for every actor. So I personally believe if you read all the great acting teachers like Uta Hagen, Stella Adler. There's one, Larry Moss, who I worked with a lot, who I'm a big fan of. His book, The Intent to Live, is a great book. I recommend any actor read that. And just watch movies and you have to want to. Acting has to be a passion because it's not always going to be fun. There's a lot of dark times because of the fact they get rejected so much. But having said that, just study, do plays, read all the classics. I really think it's important.
Joe, do you have anything to add to that?
No, the only thing I would add is what I always tell actors is actors never lose the audition unless basically they show up high, which has happened occasionally, or basically don't, or basically just don't prepare. It's usually other actors have brought something unique, so it's never really a rejection. I know sort of a lot of actors. When they're starting off, they're like, it can get you down because you feel as though people are judging you, but it's never personal. And it's never, honestly, 90% of the time, it's never like, oh, that guy was not good. It was more really, this individual really stood out for this reason, so we're going with this individual. So, I mean, that's what I will say. So, it's not personal.
Nice.
I want to thank you all. Joe, Mike, any last words for the audience?
No, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for being great fans. And I'm very lucky that people have stuck with a lot of the shows I've been doing. So thank you guys so much. And thank you guys for having me on this. And Joe, as always, great seeing you again.
Great to see you. And I look forward to our next DOPUD MALLOZZI collaboration.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, Mike. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes, thank you guys so much. It was fun times.
And we need you in lead roles, a lot of lead roles. We need Mike in lead
All
roles.
right, I'm there. I'm there.
Joe, any final words?
No, that was it.
That was
Thanks
it?
for
Okay.
tuning in.
Really quick, Nina, what number are you at?
I think 993 was the last. Let me just refresh one more time. Yeah, 993. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. I really
When's your
appreciate
next stream, Nina? When's your next stream?
I believe tomorrow I'll be on the Rogue Entertainment Crew on author Stephen Walton's channel. And then on Fridays, I do my own show, which is Infinite Hope. I do good news shows where I talk about good news because everything in the news always sucks. So on my own channel on Friday, And Saturdays, I'll host the entertainment, Rogue Entertainment as well. And Sundays, I talk with Jane Theory about The Expanse. So if you're watching The Expanse, we're talking about it on Sundays.
Thank you, and Nina monetizes and hits 1,000. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Katie,
Thank you,
Nina,
guys.
Adega. And thank you, everybody in the chat. Time Prophet, John Burns. Thank you, John Burns, for the super chats. Galinda, Stephen, Colin, Rapunzel, William, Louise, Sean, Trash Panda, Matt Ryan, Gap Stargate, everybody who's been in here, everybody who's on the replay. Thank you all. Many blessings. Stay safe. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.